That agonizing feeling when someone is living in your head, rent-free. It's not a crush, it's a cognitive thief. They steal your focus at work, hijack your conversations with friends, and haunt the quiet moments before you fall asleep. The obsession is loud, but the silence from them is deafening. It's a special kind of painful emotional puzzle. Most people will mistake this mental obsession for a sign of deep-fated connection and will wait forever for a message that may never come. But skipping to the final part of this video is critical, because it reveals the science behind why this feeling is a psychological trap, and I'm going to give you the exact blueprint to break free and get your beautiful, powerful brain back. Mental hijack. Let's just be honest for a second. It starts small. You check your phone, just a quick glance, then you check it again a few minutes later. Before you know it, an hour has passed and you've mentally replayed your last conversation 12 times, dissected every word, every emoji, every subtle pause. You've scrolled through their social media, looking for clues, for hints, for anything that could explain the silence. Your work is piling up. Your friend is trying to talk to you about their day, but you can only nod politely while your brain is a million miles away, running calculations on a ghost. This isn't love, not yet. This is a mental hijack. Your brain, the most powerful and sophisticated organ you possess, has been commandeered by an open loop, a question mark so large it's blocking out the sun. It's a deeply uncomfortable and destabilizing experience, and I want you to know you are not crazy for feeling this way. In fact, your brain is doing exactly what it was designed to do: solve a puzzle. The problem is, this specific puzzle is missing the most important piece: data from the other person. And in the absence of real, tangible data, your brilliant brain does something fascinating and dangerous. It begins to create its own. It starts to invent scenarios, to build stories, to fill in the blanks with idealized, romanticized fiction. This person, in their absence, becomes less of a real, flawed human and more of a perfect character in a story you are writing inside your own head. The silence is the canvas, and your thoughts are the paint. The longer the silence goes on, the more detailed and vibrant the painting becomes, and the more disconnected from reality it gets. It feels so powerful and all-consuming because it's not about them anymore. It's about you and a deep biological imperative to find resolution. Your focus isn't lost. It has been locked onto a target. And right now, that target is an unanswered question. And our brains absolutely hate, on a deep neurological level, unanswered questions. This feeling of being obsessed is a flare signal from your cognitive system, telling you that a crucial loop has been left open and it's consuming a massive amount of your processing power. Understanding this is the first and most important step to reclaiming your mental real estate. It's not magic, it's not fate, it's mechanics. And once you understand the mechanics, you can learn how to gently but firmly take back the controls. This is more than just a feeling, it has a physiological component. When you're stuck in this loop, your body is often in a low-grade state of anxiety, of fight or flight. Your cortisol levels, the stress hormone, can be elevated. You might feel a tightness in your chest, your sleep might be disrupted, your appetite could be off. This is because the ambiguity, the not knowing, registers in your brain as a potential threat. Is this person safe? Have I been rejected? Am I being abandoned? Your primal brain, the limbic system, doesn't distinguish between a saber-toothed tiger and a crushing text silence. To it, a threat is a threat, and it will keep you on high alert until the threat is resolved. So you are not just mentally exhausted, you are physically running a marathon in the background of your life that you never even signed up for. And the craziest part? The human brain often mistakes this state of high arousal and anxiety for intense passion or deep love. There's a famous study involving a shaky bridge, where participants who crossed a high, precarious bridge were more likely to feel attraction towards a researcher they met on the other side compared to those who crossed a low, stable bridge. They misattributed their physiological arousal from fear as romantic attraction. This is what's happening in your head. The anxiety and stress caused by the silence, by the ambiguity, are getting tangled up with your feelings for the person, magnifying them and making them seem incredibly intense and significant. You think, wow, I have never felt this strongly about anyone before. When what's really happening is that your nervous system is in overdrive because of the psychological uncertainty. You are standing on a very high, very shaky emotional bridge, and it's making the view of this other person seem absolutely breathtaking. It's a powerful illusion. It's the reason why Will They, Won't They is the most compelling storyline in every book and movie. We are biologically wired to crave the resolution of that tension. And right now, you are the main character in a story with no last page, and your brain is desperate to write one. Dopamine debt. Let's dive into the science, because this is where it gets really interesting and where you can find your power. The feeling of being constantly on your mind is not your heart talking. It's your brain's reward system being played like a fiddle. The key chemical here is dopamine. Dopamine is often called the pleasure molecule, but that's a bit of a misnomer. It's more accurately the motivation molecule. It's what drives you to seek out rewards. And here is the crucial, critical piece of information. The dopamine system is most powerfully activated not by receiving a reward, but by the anticipation of a potential reward. It thrives on maybe. This is the exact neurochemical principle that makes slot machines and social media feeds so addictive. It's called a variable reward schedule. You don't know when you'll get the payout, the text message, the like, the call, but you know it could happen at any moment. That could is what hooks you. Your brain releases a surge of dopamine every time you check your phone in anticipation, creating a micro hit of excitement. When no message is there, the dopamine dips, leaving you wanting more, compelling you to check again. It is a neurological loop of seeking, and it's incredibly powerful and highly addictive. In essence, the silence from this person has turned your relationship with them into a slot machine. Every buzz of your phone from anyone else is a pull of the lever that didn't win, reinforcing the desire for the one jackpot you're actually waiting for. And because you are a smart, efficient human, your brain learns. It learns that thinking about this person, replaying good memories, and fantasizing about a future conversation also releases little trickles of dopamine. It's a temporary fix for the craving, a way to self-soothe the discomfort of the open loop. But it's a trap because it deepens the neural pathway associated with them, making them the primary source of your mental reward-seeking behavior. You're not obsessed with the person themselves. You are addicted to the maybe they represent. This is a profound distinction. It moves the problem from the realm of romance into the realm of brain chemistry, which is a much easier problem to solve. The other fascinating neurological process at play here is what I call dopamine debt. Think about all the mental energy you have invested, every hour spent thinking about them, every bit of emotional focus you've poured into this ambiguous situation is like a prepayment for a dopamine reward. You have invested so much cognitive capital, so much hope and anticipation, that your brain now feels it is owed a significant payout. It's a psychological debt, and your brain is sending aggressive collectors in the form of obsessive thoughts to try and get that debt paid. The silence means you are in deep deficit. The expected reward hasn't arrived, and your brain is screaming about the unfairness of the emotional balance sheet. This creates a deep-seated feeling of unrest. Furthermore, this entire process is amplified by a psychological phenomenon called the Zeigarnik effect. Studies in the 1920s showed that people remember interrupted or incomplete tasks far better than completed tasks. The waitress who can remember a complex order for 12 people perfectly, but instantly forgets it the moment the bill is paid, that's the Zeigarnik effect in action. The open task creates a cognitive tension that keeps it at the forefront of our memory. This silent, unresolved situation with the person on your mind is the ultimate incomplete task. There has been no resolution, no final chapter, no bill paid. So your brain, true to its design, keeps this task on its high-priority desktop, constantly reminding you that it's open, unfinished, and in need of completion. The obsessive thoughts are not a sign that this person is your soulmate. They are a sign that your brain is functioning perfectly, flagging a massive, emotionally significant, and deeply incomplete task that is consuming valuable mental resources. It's not a cosmic sign, it's a cognitive memo. Ambiguity addiction. Human beings are meaning-making machines. We are hardwired to find patterns and create stories to make sense of the world. And nowhere is this tendency more powerful than when we are faced with ambiguity in relationships. When there is a lack of clear, consistent data, like when someone stops talking to you, it creates a vacuum. I call this the fantasy gap. And your brain in its infinite creativity, will rush to fill that gap. But here's the dangerous part. It doesn't fill the gap with realistic, mundane possibilities, like they're busy or they're not interested. No, it fills it with high-stakes, dramatic, and often deeply flattering narratives. The fantasy you create in the gap is almost always more perfect, more romantic, and more idealized than the real person ever could be. In their silence, you have the creative freedom to sand off all their rough edges, to amplify their good qualities, and to imagine a connection that is flawless and profound. You are essentially falling in love with a character you've created, a ghost you've dressed up in all your hopes and dreams. This fantasy version of them feels amazing to think about. It provides those little dopamine hits we just discussed. Thinking about your fantasy version is far more rewarding than the messy, unpredictable reality of dealing with an actual human. So you retreat further and further into your own mind, into the perfect world you've built inside the fantasy gap, which makes the obsession even stronger. You're no longer just addicted to the maybe of a text message. You are now addicted to the fantasy itself. This is a self-perpetuating cycle. The longer the silence, the bigger the gap. The bigger the gap, the more room there is for fantasy. The more you engage with the fantasy, the more attached you become to it, and the more important closing that gap with a positive outcome seems to be. You're caught in a loop of your own making, fueled by the very ambiguity you find so painful. The other powerful psychological driver here is something called cognitive dissonance. This is the mental discomfort we feel when we hold two conflicting beliefs, or when our actions conflict with our beliefs about ourselves. Here's how it plays out in this scenario. Your core belief is, I am a smart, valuable, emotionally intelligent person. But your action is, I am spending an enormous amount of my precious time and emotional energy thinking about someone who is not communicating with me. These two things are in conflict. That conflict creates dissonance, which is a psychologically painful state. To resolve this pain, your brain has to change one of the beliefs. It's very difficult to change the core belief that you are smart and valuable, so your brain takes the easier route. It changes your perception of the situation. It rationalizes your investment by inflating the value of the other person. Your brain reasons, if I, a smart and valuable person, am investing this much energy, then this other person must be incredibly special, this connection must be once in a lifetime, and the potential outcome must be worth this immense emotional cost. Do you see how insidious this is? The more you think about them, the more you have to justify that thinking to yourself. The more you justify it, the more important and valuable they seem. It's a spiral. Your obsession fuels their perceived importance, and their perceived importance fuels your obsession. You're not evaluating them on their actual merits or actions, or lack thereof. You are evaluating them based on the scale of your own emotional investment. This is why it feels so significant. It's not just about them, it's about your subconscious need to validate your own judgment, to make sense of your own behavior. Breaking free from this requires you to step back and question the narrative your brain has constructed to protect you from the discomfort of that dissonance. It means being willing to say, my investment might have been a miscalculation, and that doesn't make me any less smart or valuable. Faulty signals. So we arrive at the central question of the title. If they are constantly on your mind, but you're not talking, what does it truly mean? Our culture, fed by romance novels and movies, gives us a very tempting and popular answer. It's a sign. It must mean you have a deep spiritual connection that transcends the need for communication. It means you're fated, that you're twin flames, and that this painful silence is just a test from the universe that you must patiently endure. We mistake the intensity of our own neurological processes for external, cosmic validation. We think the loudness of our own thoughts is proof of the depth of their feelings. And this interpretation, while romantic, is incredibly disempowering and almost always wrong. It keeps you passive, it keeps you waiting, it makes you a victim of fate, powerless to do anything but hope that the universe and the other person eventually come around. Let's trade that faulty, passive interpretation for one that is backed by science and puts the power squarely back in your hands. What it really means when someone is on your mind this intensely is that your brain is sending you a series of very clear signals, not about them, but about you. The first signal is from your dopamine system. I am caught in an addictive anticipation loop, and I am seeking a reward I am not receiving. I need a healthier source of motivation and validation. The second signal is from your prefrontal cortex, flagging the Zeigarnik effect. There is a major, unresolved, open task that is draining significant cognitive resources. I need to find a way to achieve closure. The third signal is from your limbic system, experiencing cognitive dissonance. My actions and my beliefs are out of sync. I am overinvesting in an ambiguous situation, and I am inflating the other person's value to justify it. I need a reality check. It's not a sign from the universe. It's a notification from your own internal operating system, telling you exactly where the system errors are. When you learn to decode these signals properly, everything changes. The feeling of obsession is no longer a romantic mystery. It is a diagnostic tool. It's a dashboard lighting up, giving you incredible insight into your own inner workings. It gives you a clear path forward. Instead of asking, "What are they thinking?" you start asking the right questions. How can I break this addictive dopamine loop? How can I give my brain the closure it needs? How can I realign my actions with my belief in my own self-worth? Suddenly, you are no longer a passive character in someone else's story. You are the active protagonist in your own. You have agency. You have a blueprint for what to do next. This reframing is the single most powerful shift you can make. It takes you from a place of painful, hopeful waiting to a place of empowered, strategic action. So, what does it mean? It means your brain is working perfectly. It means your psychological self-defense mechanisms are trying to make sense of a confusing situation. It means you have a beautiful opportunity to become more self-aware, to understand your own neurological and psychological patterns, and to learn how to master your own mind. It's not a message about their feelings. It's a masterclass about yours. And accepting this is how you begin to break free, because you realize the problem and therefore the solution has been inside you all along. You don't need them to do anything to start feeling better. You just need to listen to your own signals correctly. Breaking bonds. Now we move from diagnosis to treatment. We know what's happening in your brain, so how do we actively intervene and break these painful mental bonds? This requires a two-pronged approach. First, we have to do the internal work to disrupt the patterns in our own minds. This is not about being harsh or telling yourself to just get over it. This is about using smart, science-backed techniques to gently but effectively rewire your brain. I'm going to give you 3 powerful pattern interrupt techniques you can start using today. The first is what I call a fact fantasy log. Keep a small notebook or a note on your phone. Every single time you find yourself spiraling into a fantasy about this person, imagining a future conversation, reliving a past memory, you must pause and write down one cold, hard, verifiable fact about the current situation. For example, fact, we have not communicated in 11 days. Or fact, the last time we spoke, the conversation was one-sided. This action is critical because it forces you to engage your prefrontal cortex, the logical, rational part of your brain, overriding the emotional, storytelling limbic system. It yanks you out of the fantasy gap and plants you firmly in reality. Doing this consistently diminishes the power of the fantasy and retrains your brain to focus on what is real, not what is imagined. The second technique is a dopamine diversion plan. Your brain is currently programmed to seek dopamine from this one unreliable source. You need to give it better, healthier alternatives. Sit down and make a list of at least 10 other activities that give you a feeling of accomplishment, pleasure, or connection. This could be anything from a tough workout, to finishing a small task at work, to calling a friend who makes you laugh, to mastering a new song on an instrument. Schedule these activities into your day. When you feel the urge to check your phone or spiral into thought about them, you must immediately choose an activity from your dopamine diversion plan instead. This proactively provides your brain with the rewards it's craving from a reliable source, weakening its dependency on the maybe from the other person. The third technique is a thought-stopping ritual. This is about creating a new neural association to break the cycle of obsessive thought. Choose a simple, discrete physical action. It could be lightly snapping a rubber band on your wrist, pinching your own hand, or simply standing up and taking a deep breath and stretching. Then, pair it with a strong verbal command that you say in your head, or even out loud if you're alone. The command should be something like, "Stop, this is not productive," or "Release, this thought does not serve me." When you catch yourself in the thought loop, you must immediately perform the physical action and say the command. The physical sensation acts as a pattern interrupt, jolting your brain out of the automated thought loop. The verbal command reinforces the new intention. Over time, your brain will begin to associate the start of that obsessive thought pattern with the jolt and the command to stop, and it will become less likely to go down that path automatically. This is classical conditioning for your own mind. These three techniques, the fact fantasy log, the dopamine diversion plan, and the thought-stopping ritual, are not passive wishes. They are active neurological interventions. They are you, the conscious human, stepping in and deciding to retrain your own brain. This is where your power lies. You are not at the mercy of your thought patterns. You are the one who can observe them, understand them, and ultimately change them. This internal work is the most important part of the process because it heals the problem at its source. It strengthens your mind, rebuilds your self-trust, and prepares you for the final step, getting the clarity you need to close the loop for good. Finding clarity? After you've done the internal work to weaken the obsessive loops, it's time to take the final step and get the one thing your brain has been craving all along: closure. The Zeigarnik effect tells us that our mind will not rest until the task is complete, so we must consciously complete it. There are two primary paths to getting this closure, and you get to choose which one feels most aligned and empowered for you. The first path is self-generated closure. This is a beautiful and powerful option because it requires nothing from the other person. You decide for yourself that the silence is the answer. Their lack of communication is a loud and clear message, and you are choosing to accept it. To make this feel final and real for your brain, you need to perform a closing ritual. I highly recommend writing a letter to this person that you will never, ever send. Pour everything out onto the page: your confusion, your hurt, your hopes, and finally, your decision to let go and move forward. Thank them for whatever lessons you learned and say goodbye. The act of translating your jumbled thoughts into a structured letter is incredibly therapeutic and provides a sense of narrative completion. Then you can ritually destroy the letter, burn it, shred it, bury it. This symbolic act sends a powerful message of finality to your subconscious mind. It tells your brain, the task is now complete, the file is closed. You have given yourself closure, and you have taken back 100% of your power. The second path is a request for external clarity. This is for those who feel they need one last piece of data directly from the source before they can move on. But this must be done with skill, not with neediness. We are not begging for attention, we are collecting data. You can send one final, low-pressure, high-dignity message. The goal of this message is not to restart the relationship. It is to get a clear enough signal to close the loop. A great template for this sounds like this. Hey name, you've been on my mind. I've been sensing some distance, and I'm a little in the dark about where we stand. Totally respect if you've got other things going on or your focus is elsewhere. Just wanted to check in. Hope you're well. Let's break down why this script is so effective. It is calm and confident, sensing some distance instead of, why are you ignoring me? It uses I feel statements, which are non-accusatory. It gives them an easy out, respect if you've got other things going on, which removes pressure and makes them more likely to respond honestly. Most importantly, it clearly states your goal. You are just checking in on the state of things. This text is brilliant because any response, even no response, gives you the data you need. If they respond positively and explain, you have data. If they respond vaguely or defensively, you have data. They are avoidant or not interested enough to be clear. And if they don't respond at all, that is the loudest, clearest data you could possibly receive. Silence in the face of a calm, respectful request for clarity is a choice. It is a definitive answer. Whichever path you choose, the self-generated closure or the request for external clarity, the end result is the same. You get a definitive answer that allows your brain to close the open task. The cognitive tension of the Zeigarnik effect is resolved. The dopamine system no longer has a maybe to cling to. The cognitive dissonance fades away because you are no longer investing in an unknown. You are free. This is the ultimate goal, not to get them, but to get your peace and your focus back. This intense mental state was never really about them. It was about you. It was about a brilliant brain trying to solve a puzzle with missing pieces, a reward system searching for a hit, and a deep human need to make sense of ambiguity. The obsession was not a sign of their incredible worth, but a powerful signal of your own inner state, calling for attention, for resolution, for peace. Reclaiming your mind from this hijack is one of the most powerful acts of self-love you can engage in. True power isn't making someone notice you. It's noticing yourself, understanding the incredible science of you, and choosing to lead your own beautiful mind back to a place of clarity and calm. The fantasy gap and cognitive dissonance. Reading that was like someone turning on a light in a room I didn't even know I was in. Be honest, which one of these concepts felt painfully familiar to you?